Hi guys, welcome back to Belly Acres Kitchen. It is a cold, cold day today. School was called out again. You guys, we have not been to school for an entire week today. So we we went to school Monday and Tuesday last week, and then we had a winter storm that moved through Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday. And then we were already going to be off Friday because we had parent-teacher conferences. And then Monday was professional development day. So the teachers all had to go in yesterday. But then they called school out again for today and tomorrow. At least for right now, it's today and tomorrow. But we're looking at possibly a foot of snow. They're saying 4 to 10 inches now in our area, but it's not supposed to stop snowing until I think like 10:30 or something. So anyway, so I thought, what a great day to be in the house cooking. So it's a good day for beef soup. I know I have done a video on beef stew before, but I am going to do a video on hamburger soup. So this is a very easy, it's not quite as rich as beef stew. So it's a lot, it's not, I don't know, it's still hearty, but it's not thick like that. So it'll be a really good gut rest soup. You know, especially if you're just eating the broth. I am going to put vegetables and hamburger in it, but it's still a good gut rest. And we try to do that at least about once a week, just for Mama's health and ours too. You know, our digestive health too. It's really good to have a good gut rest day. And we don't go all out like we're only eating broth today, but I'll make something a lot lighter for supper. So, or lunch in this case. So I have all the ingredients here. I do have a recipe on this, but I won't follow it to a T. This is something I found on the internet. This is just kind of a, well, of course it's just a reference, but I wanted to have something a little more concrete to give you guys, rather than just do this and just do that. So, but I am going to make some adjustments to that, obviously. And then, but I will, you know, share that with you guys. And then when I put the recipe down in the description below, it will be how I made it, not how it was made in the, you know, on my reference deal, recipe. So I've got my cast iron Dutch oven out. I've got it seasoned. It's heating up right now because I do want to fry some hamburger. I've got 1 pound of hamburger. All right, I'm just going to squeeze that out. Possibly squeeze that out. And as always, I'm going to try to get a good char on one side of that hamburger before I flip it or before I even season it. So come on over here and see what I've got. All right, so my pan is pretty hot, so I should be able to get a char pretty quickly. I just want to get that in a flat. There we go. I'm going to cook everything in this Dutch oven, so that's why I'm just starting with frying the hamburger right in there. Now, while I get a good char on that, let's go ahead and get some of these vegetables prepped. I'm going to go ahead and dice up an onion. I'm going to actually use the whole onion here. Normally, I would use half an onion, but the recipe called for a whole onion, and I thought, you know what, let's check this out. All right, I don't want my hamburger to burn, but I do want a good char on it, good crunchy char before I put it in the soup, because the soup will soften it down. And I just don't like my hamburger to get like mushy. It sounds a lot more fierce than it is. All right. These don't have to be tiny diced because they are going in a soup, so they can be cut a little bit bigger than normal, than a normal dice. But you do want them all about the same size. I did use the last bit of my chicken stock the other day, so I am going to have to make something with chicken soon so I can have some chicken carcasses to make some chicken stock. And as always, all of this extra will be put into a bag for my chicken stock. So, got onion there. I need to peel some potatoes. Oh yeah, beautiful. Good char. Ooh yeah, nice. So I like to do that before I chop it up. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to peel my potatoes. Now I'm only doing 2 medium potatoes in this soup because I will dice it down. I'll dice it down pretty small, and the reason I'm going to dice it down is I don't want this soup to take forever to cook. And the recipe for the online version says to use frozen vegetables, and I'm sure that's to reduce the cooking time as well. I like soup with, you know, fresh vegetables. I just think the flavor is so much better. Even though these are not carrots from my garden, these are carrots from, you know, that I bought or whatever, but I still think that it is such a better flavor. Now, I don't put potato peels in my chicken broth, chicken stock. I go ahead and just compost those. I'll probably just throw it in the trash today because I'm not going to be getting out to my greenhouse anytime soon to the compost. I'm going to go ahead and lower it. I'm going to turn this over. Ooh, that is popping a lot. Okay, so let's use my trusty meat chopper here. Alright, I don't want to chop this down teeny tiny because it is going in a soup, and I want to kind of have bigger chunks. So I'm just going to kind of move it around a little bit. It's okay for there to be bigger chunks in that since it's going in the soup. Alright, so next we will peel the carrots. Now the carrot peels will go in my chicken stock, so it'll go right in the freezer, ready for the next time I make chicken stock, along with the onion peels and the onion pieces, like the tops and those things. I did make the chickens some oatmeal this morning, and I didn't want to give it to them hot. I just wanted it to be warm. So when I went out to feed, I thought, well, I'll just take it out with me so it can cool while I'm feeding the grain and changing their water, you know, because everything's frozen out there. And the problem is I sat it down, and by the time I got back to it, it was almost frozen. That's how cold it is out there right now. I think the real feel is in the negatives. It was negative 11 when Rusty got home from work, and he came home early from work, but it was already -11 of the real feel. So I know, and it's supposed to just continue to get colder today. All right, these are looking pretty soggy and sad. It's what? 14 -10 real feel. So -10 degrees is the real feel. I'm just going to put those in there. I know there was a lot on that one, but they're pretty soggy little guys. All of this is just going to go right back in this bag, and then it'll go in the freezer, and it is ready for stock. When I get ready to do it, I can just put all of that in there. Hey now, you stop that. Walmart sack full of bags. I'm getting rid of all. Okay. All right, we're just going to drain this. While that hamburger is draining, I want to deglaze this pan. We've got all of those good hamburger bits in the bottom, and it hasn't been seasoned yet, which is perfectly okay because I want to deglaze it with the onions, carrots, and celery. I'm not going to put the garlic in it yet because I want the garlic to I don't want the garlic to burn. All right. I'm going to also cut these carrots down kind of small because I don't want the soup to take forever to cook. Now I am going to deglaze that pan with the carrots and the onion and the celery, and I'll add a little bit of butter to that as well, and then we'll put some seasoning in when we do this part. I'm not concerned about that meat not being seasoned because once everything starts to marry together, it's going to be, the seasonings are going to be there. Beautiful. This carrot is quite a bit smaller, so I may not have to cut it in half. Maybe right here at the end. All right. All right. Beautiful. Now I have turned off my Dutch oven because I don't want those bits that are in the bottom to burn, because I don't want to get like a burnt flavor on it. Let's see. Now nothing going to waste here. I think the only thing that went to waste today is the potato peels, but that is because it was, I'm not going out to the greenhouse, and even if I went and took it out there to the compost right now, it would just freeze. It would just be frozen out there, so I'm not too concerned about it. I used to keep a compost bin in the house. The problem with that is, especially in the winter where I'm not going out to the garden every day, it ends up sitting in here until it stinks, and I was over that. So When I'm going out every day and I can take it out with me, that's different, but especially during the winter, it's just not worth it. All right, so look at those beautiful little bits in there. I'm going to pull that forward. There's still a little bit of grease in there, but I do like to use butter. So I'm going to use a couple of tablespoons of butter, and I'm going to throw that in there. And then along with it, I'm going to go ahead and dump my carrots and onions and celery. And all of that is going to start to cook down. And when it does, it will start to deglaze that pan. So it'll start to take up all of those little chunks and get them off where they're not stuck to the bottom. But I'm going to go ahead and season this. The only thing I am going to use to season it right now is I'm going to use some Italian seasoning. Now this is my own Italian seasoning. I need to make a video on the Italian seasonings, or the seasonings that we mixed. I mixed some Cajun seasoning the other day, and oh my gosh, it was so good. But this is all with homegrown herbs, and then of course some garlic and onion powder. But I'm going to go ahead and dump that in. Probably a tablespoon. Then I'm going to dump some salt and some pepper. And we'll add more if we need it later. But I just want all of this to cook together. Let that butter get down in there too. That is beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. I wish you could smell it, because you know, the store-bought seasonings is great, but when you can mix your own seasonings with herbs you've grown from your garden, and then you know, dehydrated or even just dried. We dried these on a line, and then the flavors and the aromas are just so much more potent. They're just so aromatic. All right, we're going to let that cook for a little bit. Meanwhile, we're going to go ahead and start cutting up our potatoes. All right, so again, the potatoes I'm only using two. I guess I've already washed those, huh? I'm going to wash them again just in case I didn't. I'm going to go ahead and just cut those up. I'm not going to dice them really small, but I'm also not going to just quarter them like I would for like a chicken caldo or something. You know, I just kind of quarter those. But all right, so we're going to just chop those up. You do want them all to be kind of the same size, so they cook all at the same time. Ooh. Butter packets and everything else. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside. I'm also going to go ahead and peel my garlic. Now I'm not going to put the garlic in until I'm right fixing to start pouring in liquids. And I can put this in the, I can put this garlic in the garlic peels. I can put that in the chicken stock too. All right, so give it a little bit of a garlicky kick. I'm going to go ahead and just dice this garlic up since I've got time to kill and not, you know, while I'm waiting for my veggies over there. Normally I would press it, but it's only two cloves of garlic. Now, if you've been following for a while, you know I love garlic. So normally if a recipe calls for 2 cloves of garlic, I will put 4. But I didn't do that because my Italian seasoning, I put garlic in my Italian seasoning. So I already have garlic powder in that. Whew, those aromatics are amazing in that Italian seasoning. It's that thyme and rosemary that does that. And I don't put a whole lot of rosemary because rosemary is very overpowering to me. So I don't do a whole lot of rosemary. Now let's look at the bottom of this. Do you see how all of those little bits are starting to come up? It's because my vegetables are starting to release, you know, kind of especially when I put the salt in it. Once I put the salt in it, it causes the vegetables to release the liquids. So, kind of draws the liquid out. And that will really get the deglazing done. There is nothing left on the bottom of this. Maybe a couple of little spots. But look at that. That is clean, clean. Clean as a whistle. So let's see what kind of liquids we're going to be putting in this. All right, so the recipe calls for 28 ounces of diced tomatoes. Now I do have a can of diced tomatoes in tomato juice, and I'm going to use that. But I also have some stewed tomatoes that Mom and I made on one of the Preserving the Harvest videos, and it has celery and garlic and onions and herbs, fresh herbs. So I'm really excited about this, so I'm going to use this. It also calls for some beef broth. I don't have any beef broth, but I will put some chicken bouillon in it and put some water in it, and that will be okay. And I also have some tomato broth. Now I made some seasoned tomato broth out of the when we were preserving the tomatoes and canned that, so that'll be great. So all in all, we will have stewed tomatoes, diced tomatoes, tomato broth, and also some chicken broth. I have used all of my stock, otherwise I'd be using it. And then we'll of course use some Worcestershire and some bay leaves, but all of that will come. I'll go ahead and get these open while that is still cooking down. That tomato broth smells so good. All right, let's go back to our Dutch oven. All right, so we're back here. Everything is cooking nicely. My onions are starting to become translucent. So if you look here, this one here, show you. See how they are starting to be just a bit more translucent, not quite so stark white. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying wait until your onions are translucent. All right, I'm going to go ahead and add my garlic in. Now garlic will cook very fast and it can burn. And that's why I try to wait to put the garlic in until right before I'm going to put liquids in, because burnt garlic can give off such a rancid flavor. This also helps with the cook time. I think what I am going to go ahead and put some frozen peas in the soup. Okay, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and put my potatoes in. I'm going to stir that up. Get the seasonings on it really nicely. My Dutch oven might not be big enough. I tend to make, when I make soup, I tend to make a lot of soup, which is okay because I do like to freeze things. I have a freezer full of individual meals in there of things that I make for supper or whatever. I make a lot, and then I can make individual meals and put them in the freezer. And that is great for Rusty and I for grab and go lunches, and that's great for Mama while she's here at home. She can she has a variety of things she can have for lunch, and she doesn't have to get up and cook it. All right, so I went ahead and put the hamburger in there. So, I mean, it's still pretty hearty, but it's not going to have the starches in it. Well, except for the potatoes, but it's not going to have like the cornstarch that, you know, we kind of use to thicken it, because I want it to be soup. All right, so that was the tomato broth. There are the stewed tomatoes. Here are the petite diced tomatoes. I'm going to mix that up. And then I want to make a chicken broth. So I will add in my chicken bouillon, and it says right on the box, it has directions in Spanish and in English. So chicken broth, dissolve 1 teaspoon of chicken flavor into 1.5 cups of boiling water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 1 tablespoon. So that would be, let's see, double would be 3, 4, 4.5 cups. 4.5 cups. So I'm going to use my 2 pints so that I can kind of rinse those out. Now that is going to be 2. There's 4 cups. And then I'll use the 1/2 cup to rinse out my can too. And 1/2. Beautiful. All right, now it's looking like soup, right? We're going to stir that up. Now we're going to add it calls for 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire. I'm just going to do, I do like the smoky flavor of Worcestershire, so I'm going to add a couple of those. And then it calls for 1 bay leaf. Now the last bay leaves that I got, oh, this one's kind of big. It's going to say we're kind of small. I might do 2, just 1.5. All right, so I'm going to stir this up before it gets too crazy. I want to taste it to see if my spices are on point. My spices will change too as it cooks, because all of that will marry in together. That's very tomatoey. I am going to add a little bit more salt. We're going to let that cook for a while. I'm going to cover it. It's on high. It'll start to boil. Once it starts to boil, I will turn it down and let it simmer. I will probably have to take the lid off of it, because my stove tends to run very hot. So it's hard to get a simmer unless I put it back here on this back burner with the lid on. All right, you guys, so I'm going to let that cook. We'll probably let it cook for about an hour. Like I said, I'll get it up to a boil, then I'll turn it down to a simmer and let it cook for about an hour. About 10 or 15 minutes before I serve, I'll go ahead and put in a bag of frozen peas, just because I do like peas in the soup, and we will taste test it in a little bit. Okay, so no judgment on this freezer, because it's kind of crazy, but what I was talking about with the having extra, I just cook extra stuff. So this is beef stroganoff. I think I've got like 3 or 4 of those. There's some jambalaya. Some of these are bigger canisters than others. The single serves are usually these. Michelle gave me all of these. Like this is chicken and noodles. I've got chicken and noodles in here. We've got jambalaya in here. And these are all just meals that we've had, throughout the week. And then we just put all the extras in small little containers. This is also jambalaya. So it makes it nice. Like I said, grab and go. If Mama wants, is hungry, she doesn't have to come to the kitchen to cook something. There's something at the ready. She just has to warm it up. It's also great grab and go lunches for Rusty and I. So I do try to make a little extra whenever I cook. And then, like right now, usually Mama, she eats like a bird, but she's having some summer sausage and crackers, So that's usually what she does for lunch. But she has the option if she wanted it. Rusty is so super busy. He came home from work and he has been in here organizing the mudroom / washroom. All right, you guys, this has been simmering for about 45 minutes. The carrots, let's pull them out and put them on a plate so that you can see it better. All right, you guys, so let's check this. Those potatoes need just a little bit longer. The carrots are perfect. But I'm going to go ahead and put some frozen peas in there, and that will slow down it's not really boiling, it's more of a simmer. That'll slow that down a little bit. And then I'll cook it for just a little bit longer, and then I'm going to pull those bay leaves out. It smells amazing. All right, so I didn't have only peas. I had peas and carrots, but that is okay. I know there's already carrots in here, but I really want the peas in it, so we are improvising. We're going to go with it. All right, so there we go. Now there is no thickener in this, so it's very brothy. We are trying to cook, like I said, a soup a week. So if you have a great soup recipe, leave it in the comments. We'd like to try it. So see how that slowed down the boiling process because those were frozen. So we're going to let it come right back up to a simmer. Now this is on low, but like I said, it runs pretty high. We're going to let it come back up. Meanwhile, I was making one of my son's favorites. He's not here, of course, because he's grown. But when I miss people, I tend to make food that reminds me of them. And I thought that we all needed a cinnamon toast snack this afternoon. So I'm making cinnamon toast, one of Amos's favorites. All right, you guys, it's 6 o'clock in the evening. The snow has stopped briefly, but I guess it's supposed to start up again. It's been blowing snow, so we have some drifts. You look out across the driveway and you can still see the ground, so you don't think it's been much snow, but I think it's just because it's been blowing, the wind has been blowing so hard. You can see the snow coming off that lean-to where it's blowing so hard, but right in front of this gate right here, that is a pretty big drift right there.
It's 10 degrees with a real feel of -8.
Yuck. But anyway, I started heating up the soup again because we're ready for dinner now, ready for the sun. So we need to see. Ooh, it's boiling. Look at that. Beautiful. Again, this is soup, not stew. So it's not going to be thick, but like with any kind of thickener, but look at that. It's a very hearty soup. So I'm going to serve this up, and then we're going to let Rusty taste it and see what he thinks. All right, so we are completely out of hot water. We have cold water, hot water. It's not running there. Back here in the bathroom, It is trickling.
A trickle there and a drip there.
A drip and then a trickle. So, Rusty, what did you do?
I went and got the heater out of Mom's house, a little space heater we had, and I put it in the water heater room, hoping that will work. If not, we'll have to go out and put the jet heater under the house and get it heated up under there. I'm fixing to start the dryer. That'll get some hot air into the house also. So hopefully we can get this thawed out relatively quickly.
Yes. So we did prepare for, we always do, for the cold. We went ahead and filled pots with water just in case all of our water froze. Mayday's in his kennel right now because he just came in from going potty, so he has to dry out before we let him back out here. The little dogs have been going in and out, but they don't make quite the mess that Mayday makes when he comes in from being outside. But we also have plenty of bottled drinking water, and then I got all of these jars with water in them, as well as some jars down there with water, so then that way we can cook with if we freeze up completely.
And this is nothing new for us.
Right.
Growing up in the panhandle of Oklahoma and southwest Kansas, multiple times during childhood and our younger adult lives, we would have blizzards and be out of water for anywhere from a day to, 2 weeks at one time?
Yes, yes.
No water or electricity.
So we just prepare. We always have water, and then, we prepare otherwise as well. So are you ready to try the soup?
I am more than ready to try.
Are you ready to try this soup? Yeah. Yeah. And these,
Yeah.
That's going in slow motion. Yeah. And Weenie Dog and Chihuahua Dog are like not about going out today. We have put them out a couple of times. It does no good. They just come in and yeah. If you have small dogs, you understand what I'm saying. So
especially the weenie and the
Chihuahua, yeah. But at least they're inside and they're safe. And the kitty cats. So our outside cats, they have come up from the barn a couple of times. Every time they come up, we feed them. All of our chickens are locked up, like locked in their coops, and have had extra feed today.
extra feed, we've hauled water to them.
Yes, and they got a treat with oatmeal this morning. I made them oatmeal, so yeah. All right, let's try the soup. Now that it's warm. It has been pretty much a lazy day. We have not been, Rusty went to work this morning, and then after feeding and taking care of the animals outside, we pretty much just watched TV all day or all afternoon. But that's the cool thing about getting stuff done early. Then you can kind of just chill and let the snow happen, right? So I want Rusty to try this. I'm gonna get Mama some too. You want a small bowl, Mom?
Yes.
Okay, Mama always wants a smaller bowl. I told you guys earlier, she eats like a bird.
She gets a smaller bowl so she can have two.
No, she never gets two.
Oh, there's Dad.
All right. So, here it is.
Hello.
It does have a lot of tomato. Rusty's on the phone with his dad. But I didn't make any cornbread or anything. I kind of wanted it to be a lot lighter. We do have some crackers. So when he comes back, we'll try the soup.
It's really there, isn't it? So good.
2 thumbs up on that one, baby.
All right, so I want to clear something up before I get the comments. This is not exactly a gut rest meal. what I mean by gut rest is we try to eat something with less carbs, less starches, at least once a week.
Yes.
Now, if mom is having an issue where she does need gut rest, obviously we're going to do broths and something a lot less hearty.
Yes.
But this is a hamburger soup. The only thing that really differentiates it from a stew, as far as the way I make stew is going to be a roast that is cut up, or stew meat, and then it is also going to have a thickener in it. So it's going to have something like cornstarch or flour or something where it's a little bit thicker.
And this is what we grew up calling beef stew.
Beef stew, right? So this is,
But yeah,
it's more like
now as
hamburger
adults
soup.
we make more of a beef stew,
Right.
make it thicker.
Right. But anyway, all right. Well, I think it's a win.
I know it's a win.
So, excuse the hair. Like it's been one of those days where we, like I said, we go out, we're bundled up, and then we come in and we're just kind of chill.
What's that saying? No hair, don't care.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
It's what is it? Bedhead don't, or what is it? Bad hair don't care. I don't know.
Yeah, something.
Yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys like our videos. If you do, please hit the like button.
Subscribe if you haven't already.
Yep. Share with your friends.
Leave us some comments, you guys. Let us know what you think of Rachel's stew here. Soup. I caught myself.
Hamburger soup.
Hamburger soup. But it's amazing. I don't care what you call it. You can call it broth with beef. I don't care what you call it. I'm gonna call it soup. And it's amazing.
I would call it soup because Rachel's sitting right next to me.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Until next time, God bless.
See ya.
Good.